Hello and welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and this is the opposition view for our upcoming match away at Brighton. Joining me is Addy from Albion Raw. How are you doing, Addy?
I'm good. It's AD, but yeah, never mind. It's
Hey,
fine.
yes, apologies. I actually meant to ask you that before we started, but yeah, that's cost me, hasn't it? um, but yeah, so yeah, obviously it's coming at quite a crucial time in both our seasons, I'd say this match. Yeah, I guess from an Everton perspective, what do you want to give us an impression of where Brighton are at the moment, how the season's going, how your fortunes are looking at the moment?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it was obviously it's the season started brilliantly with 3-0 win at Goodison. Sorry to remind you. Which and it's like which was the first game under the new gaffer Fabian Hurtzler. And we started off okay. We were picking up points, and then the injuries started to mount up, and momentum started to wane a little bit. And we're still picking up points, but we've been getting ourselves into winning positions and dropping a lot of dropping points. I mean, there was a lot of people giving Everton a load of stick at the beginning of the season for their ability to let be 2-0 up with 5 minutes to go. And we've done that twice, and it's kind of slipped underneath the radar a little bit. So you're not alone. We feel your pain.
Mm.
But when you're 2-0 up at home against a relegation threatened team like Wolves were at the time, you expect to win the game, and we ended up drawing it 2-2. Again, 2-0 up in the 85th minute at Leicester. You should go on and win the game, but we got paid back to 2-2 in that one. So we didn't lose the games. We added another point to the total, but there was an element of frustration creeping into the stands. A little bit of criticism was heading in the way of the manager, and yeah, it was getting a little bit uncomfortable. Unfortunately, we've become a little bit victims of our own success to a certain degree. Whereas last season's European journey, we're all hungry for more of that. It was the first time in our 126-year history that we'd ever been in a European competition. And and having spent the money that we did in the summer, the thoughts were that we're going to be bang on for another attempt at getting back into one of the competitions, and because our fortunes have fluctuated and we haven't necessarily been picking up the wins that we thought we possibly deserved. Yeah, there was some dissension in the ranks. But that said, it's been a great week on Planet Albion. We went to Norwich in the FA Cup, a 4-0 confidence boosting win. Saw us go into the game at Ipswich on the Thursday night and pick up another our first league win in seven. That said, we hadn't lost in seven, but it was the first league win in seven. Um, and and then obviously going to Man United on Sunday and picking up another 3 points there. So yeah, I mean the confidence is back in the squad. Players are starting to come back, starting to regain their fitness, and we're starting to see a lot of the players who we thought might be um, real stars this season. We're actually starting to see what they can actually do. They're beginning to settle a little bit more. And it's easy for fans to forget, right? When you sign a player, you think, right, you're looking at the size of the transfer fee, you're looking at the size of the wages, and you think, right, if they don't score 10 goals on debut, I'm going to they're rubbish. But it just takes sometimes when you've got a player coming to a different country, a different weather, different culture, different food, um, trying to settle with their family, trying to get kids into school, etc. It doesn't happen overnight, and sometimes it does take a little bit of time. And when you look at it, a lot of these guys are still kids, right? They're only like 17, 18, 19, some of them, and they sometimes it's their first time away from home, away from their home country. So it's you have to be realistic, and actually it is very easy to forget that footballers are actually people. They're human beings. They're not commodities. And you have to look at the human element as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's got to be said. I thought from the outside looking in this summer, I had in my head this season would be a bit more of a transitional one for you. I thought with the new manager coming in, with him being so young, and obviously he'd done a great job in Germany. I did think it would take a lot longer for him to settle
Yeah.
in and to settle, as you say, these players. And Brighton always seem to be a team that are constantly in transition. You're always selling these players on for big fees and bringing in new young players mostly to replace them. So yeah, and to be honest, like looking at you in the table, and as you say, it's clear. You're not losing many games. You're perhaps maybe drawing too many, but as you say, the last few games you've managed to get some really good results. And as you say,
Yeah, and that's confidence as well. You were beginning to see players' heads drop a little bit when like when we were away at Villa the other day, and we take the lead, and like then they go in the lead, and we're hanging on to get something out of the game. When you're playing against a team like South, I mean, there's a common phrase in Brighton circles. It's probably uttered in Everton circles as well. Is your team bottom of the league and can't win the game? Don't worry, Doctor Brighton will see you now. It's
yeah,
like when Southampton came and we absolutely dominated that game and couldn't win it. You're seeing some psychedelic refereeing decisions in some games which are depriving you of like certain like match winning goals and things, and it is a frustration, but every team has the frustrations, but we're starting to, like I said, I think there's a little bit of confidence now, and like those 3 wins in a week has appeased the fan base a little bit, and we'll go into Saturday full of confidence.
yeah, absolutely. It doesn't sound like a great time to be playing you guys, but then at the same time, we're coming off the back of probably our best result of the season, and
Yeah, I mean, it,
just
it took you a long time to score 3 goals, let alone 3 goals in one half. So I mean, we look at that and we're seeing the likes of Calvert-Lewin fighting, remembering what a goal looks like and how it feels to put the ball in the back of the net, and then that turn he had where he put it narrowly wide. That was a player who looked like his confidence had come back. So we're wary. We're very wary going into it. I mean, I was just talking to another Everton fan today, and he reminded me like of the time he took his son to his first game, and it happened to be a game at the Amex against you lot. And I seem to remember looking at the stats, and it was Brighton shots 26, Everton shots 5. And what was the score? Oh yeah, we lost 5.
yeah.
So I'm still angry about it. How can you absolutely dominate a game and and lose 5-1? It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But the history books will say that.
Yeah, I think we still can't quite understand how that happened either, and it came at a really that was such an important win for us that I honestly think without the boost that game gave us, we probably wouldn't have stayed up that season to be
It
honest.
was the
So
goal difference that kept you up, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah, probably exactly that. Yeah, so yeah, that was definitely one of the better cases of Dr. Brighton, as you say. Um,
Yeah.
so uh, but yeah, and in terms of Everton, what did you make on getting rid of Deitch and bringing Moyes back? I know every neutral has some sort of opinion on it. I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a head scratcher. I've got to admit, because obviously, um, there's the David Moyes that the rest of football looks at, and there's a David Moyes that Everton fans look at, and they'll Everton fans will remember the run that he had with you, and the fact that you're regularly finishing in the top 8, mostly top 7, um, qualifying for Europe, going deep into cup competitions, and then there's a David Moyes that was at West Ham, at Sunderland, at Man United, who failed for one of them. Well, you can't really exactly say winning a European competition is failing, I suppose, can you? But it's the style of football that he's been labelled with other clubs hasn't exactly set the pulses racing. So the fact that he was given an opportunity to go back to Goodison, particularly at a time where it's going to be very, very emotive for Everton fans, it was a little bit of an eye opener because obviously from an Everton point of view, the most important thing was getting the ownership situation sorted out, and obviously with the stadium moving into the new stadium next year, you needed that sorted out first, and then you thought when with the new owners coming in, are they going to go for a glamorous appointment? But I think just appointing a safe pair of hands just to get yourselves over the line, make sure you're going into the new stadium in this division. Um, you don't want to have the best stadium in the championship, right? So that's very important, and he'll keep you up. It looks like he's already having an effect. It looks like there's confidence in the players again. Um, it's a sensible appointment, if not an exciting appointment.
Yeah, like I say, I mean, you've got to remember that for us, going from Sean Dyche to David Moyes, whatever you say on David Moyes' style of football, it's still more positive than what Dyche was producing. And I was a very big fan of Dyche, and I was very wary of getting rid of him. But to be honest, I think a lot of the fan base were completely fed up with it and just wanted something different. But as you say.
Yeah,
I don't know if some people expected that kind of more exciting, glamorous appointment as opposed to this safe pair of hands. I think it kind of a bit of the best of both worlds, because as you say, you have that romantic angle with it, I guess. But to be honest, the way he talks, he seems like he doesn't want to just be here for the short term. He's keen on trying to build the team back up again and maybe having the first few years at Bramley Moore. Whether or not that comes to fruition or not, we'll have to wait and see. But as you say, I do honestly think the impact has already been felt a little bit, and as you say, confidence does seem to be flowing
yeah.
around the place again a little bit.
You just, as it stands at the moment, you've just got to be better than the three other teams at the moment, and and that might be four other teams, and it might be five other teams. If you can just keep on picking up results. Your problem has been scoring goals, and you know it's great having a brilliant defensive record, but if you're not scoring, I mean, you only need one goal with a brilliant defensive record to win 1-0, and that's 3 points. But 0-0, it's frustrating. It's anti-football, and like you're paying a lot of money to go and see your team. You want to see a little bit more than that, and you know if you sometimes nobody's got any divine right to success. I mean, we say that ourselves. We're doing okay at the moment. We're challenging at the right end of the table, but that may not last forever. We've got no divine right to be anywhere in any division. So and I've said it on this show before. We've got the memory. It wasn't so long ago that we nearly went out of existence entirely. So it wasn't so long ago that we had like a 140-mile round trip to go to a home game when we were exiled in Gillingham. So we know that success isn't guaranteed. It isn't like something that you have a divine right to. Maybe we should try saying that to some other clubs, eh?
Absolutely, and to be honest,
Particularly the one we beat at the weekend.
and yeah, to be honest, with the Moyes factor as well. I know you said you could maybe view his time at West Ham as completely unsuccessful, but I honestly think that is a perfect case of what you're just talking about. West Ham fans maybe not quite appreciating what they had, and European trophy, a trophy full stop. Let's be honest, for West Ham, I think it was the
Mm.
first major trophy since going back to the 80s. Um,
Yeah, since 1980.
yeah, so I don't think whatever you make of his football, as he said at the time, he was pretty much quite regularly having them back up in the top seven, top
Yeah.
six. I think he proved at West Ham he's still got it in him to be a manager gunning for in the top half maybe. So I don't know. It might very well end up being a very good appointment for us, but obviously it's still
Yeah. Time will tell.
very early days exactly. Going back to this game ahead on Saturday. What sort of shape is the team looking at the moment for Brighton, and who do you think are some of the players that we need to watch out for on Saturday? Would you say?
Well, we're starting to. It depends who's fit, to be honest, because we have. I think the history, the books are saying that we've had more injuries than any other team this year. So, um, particularly in midfield, we're missing some key personnel. But like the last few weeks, we started to like find our feet a little bit. Like, I mean, I've been very critical of Yankuba Minter because he's been frustrating. He's one of those players, there's a really good player there, but he just doesn't know what he's going to do next. So no one else is not going to know what he's going to do next, and he had the tendency just to take on one player too many, lose the ball in dangerous situations, and before and losing a goal because of not tracking back. So, but he over the last couple of weeks, I don't know, the penny's dropped, a light bulb's gone on. We're starting to see some end product. He's tracking back against Man United the weekend was absolutely sensational, and he was great at both ends of the pitch. And Karu Mitoma's coming back into a little bit of form. So having those two in tandem is a real threat. Having Danny Welbeck that fit is crucial because he's not a player that's scored an awful lot of goals throughout his career. And as you lot will all know, I mean, strikers will always be judged on goals. But it's what he brings to the rest of the team. And he didn't get the amount of England caps that he did. Um, Actually, he scored a lot of goals for England. Actually, his ratio of goals to appearances for England was better than any he's had at any club side. But just brings so much to the team, and having that brings out more out of João Pedro, and it's exciting. So we're not quite sure where the defence is. We've just lost Eagle for the season. There's talk that Lewis Dunk might be out again. He's been struggling over the last few weeks with some injuries and he's been in and out. Maybe he just needs to like take a few weeks and actually get properly fit again. Um, but he's after the all-time Albion appearance record, so he's not going to want to do that, and he is the captain. But so yeah, I mean we're looking at trying to just piece together a team that's actually fit, really. But like I said, I think we'll probably go if Lewis is fit, we'll probably go unchanged from the weekend.
Mm. Yeah, like I say, bit of a stinger listening to you talk about Minter there. Was in a very, a very feasible world he could very well have been playing at Everton this season. Still didn't quite work
So
out, and
here,
yeah, and obviously we saw on the opening day just how good he can be. He had a very good first half there, and then he got injured, I
yeah,
believe.
he got concussed. Yeah.
So, but yeah, in terms of the players we do have, who are you most worried about in the Everton team going into this game?
And Dice, the obvious one. I think. I mean, we saw him play for Marseille against us last season, and he was a threat then. We remember seeing him play for Watford. He wasn't. Was he Watford? No, he
The
wasn't at
Sheffield
Watford. It was Sheffield
United.
United, wasn't it? Sheffield United. So yeah, he's always been a threat, but he's actually probably been your most exciting player this season. So he's the one we're probably most worried about. But it's just a case of, we know what a David Moyes team looks like. We know it's not really about star players. It's about being a sum of its parts. And if it works, it works. And you'll be try and be compact and hit us on the break within die. So basically, we just got to be consider if we can play like we did at the weekend, if we can put in a 90-minute performance, which we haven't done all season, then we're going to be confident going into it. But when you've just had that confidence boosting win, and that's massive. And that you take that, like I said about Calvert-Lewin, he's got the monkey off his back in terms of scoring a goal, knowing how that feels. So he'll be hungry to add more, and he's got a good record against us as well. So we're a little bit concerned.
Hmm. Can I press you for a score prediction?
I think 3-1, the Albion.
Hmm. Okay, yeah, yeah. I could. I could definitely feasibly see a world where that happens. I don't know. Our record down at your place isn't too bad. I don't think
It's
last
not
two
too
years.
bad. It's not too bad. I remember some. There's been some controversial ones.
Yeah.
I haven't actually looked at the head to head, but I mean, you know what, when we first got promoted 7, 8 years ago, like we got asked like, what game are you most looking forward to? And like a lot of us were saying Everton, and no one could quite work out why. And it's because we hadn't actually played you since 1983, and we played everybody else. So it
Uh,
was like that. It was. It's a game that we've always looked forward to. Like going to Goodison has always been a great place to go. So we're gonna miss the old lady, I think. But obviously it's exciting moving into a new stadium. But and let's face it, it is falling apart a little bit, and
yeah.
it's probably not the most sanitary place on the planet. But yeah, it's a stadium we've always enjoyed going to, and it's always been nice. But yeah, and it's well, I'm not. I have to double check what the head-to-head record is, but we're hopeful of a win and continue our surge back up the table to challenge for those European spots.
Hmm. It's very interesting that you mentioned the first time we played you in the Premier League because I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit. I'm going to take. Can you remember the game, the one at the Amex, first time we played you?
Is that the one we won 3-2?
No, that was a
No, it
couple
wasn't.
seasons later. That was one of the controversial ones you were talking about. I
Yeah,
still remember that one vividly. But no, this was
2-0.
it was a 1-1 draw. It was and I'm going to press you on the lineup and see how you do on the lineup. So how we're going to do it is uh you have three lives, and if you say a player who wasn't either
Well, so
starting
this is
or
the
or
this
on the
is this is
bench.
this is the first season back in the Premier League then.
First season back in the Premier League.
Okay.
In the what it was a 1-1 draw in October 2017. When you were managed by Chris Hughton. So yeah,
Oh
whenever you're
God.
ready, throw some names at me.
Lewis Dunk.
Yep, yeah,
Bruno.
yep. Right back. Yep.
Um, was it still Stockdale? David Stockdale?
Uh, no, David Stockdale starting or on the bench. So
No,
that's one
he'd already
life
gone.
lost.
Um, okay. It'll be Glenn Murray, Pascal Gross,
Yep, both of them.
um,
Yep,
Anthony Knockaert,
yep. Scored the goal.
Dale Stevens,
Dale Stevens.
would be Jamie Murphy.
Uh, no Jamie Murphy. No, not on the bench
Um,
either. So that's one life remaining.
oh God, no pressure then. Bong wasn't there then, was he? Um, come back to that. Darren Kyle. Darren Kyle?
Uh, no, no,
Ah,
that's your lives out. I'm afraid.
oh,
So yeah, it was Matt Ryan in goal. Um,
yeah.
Bruno, you said, Dunk, you said, Shane Duffy. One of the few
Oh,
players
yeah.
that
The
have,
Gestalt entity that is Duncan Duffy.
yeah, yeah, one of the few players that have played for both Brighton and Everton. I think Mopé's the only other one, and we're not talking about him. Um, uh,
Oh, let's.
there's no, no,
We love Neil.
oh God, got one of the worst signings we've ever made. Um, your left back, I have no recollection of whatsoever, but Marcus
Jason.
Sutner.
Oh, Marcus Sintner. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, don't remember him
Yeah.
at all. And then I think the only other two you didn't say in the starting lineup were Davy Proper and Solly March.
Oh, of course, yeah, Solly. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's crazy looking at that team, just how far you've come. I
Well,
was at
Solly and Donkey are still there.
yeah. To be fair to
Um,
them, yeah.
and
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I was actually at that game. Only time I've been down to the Amex, and yeah, it was dreadful getting. I think Rooney scored a penalty in the last minute, and we managed to nick a draw, but we were dreadful. Right, it was one of the last games when we had Ronald Koeman in charge. Um,
I got locked in a room with him once. That was fun.
oh God. Um, but yeah, just to wrap it up then as well, another little bit of a quirky question for you. So, it's about the Mount Rushmore concept, and if you were making one for Brighton, what four figures would you have on your Mount Rushmore?
Good question. Alan Mullery,
Yep.
Dick Knight, Tony Bloom, and Peter Ward.
Yeah, I know of most of those names, but yeah, won't probably be able to tell too much into them. But yeah, I think that's all we've got time for. So thank you very much for joining me, AD.
Pleasure.
And yeah, I'll remember that one from now on. And yeah, I won't wish you the best of luck for the weekend, but definitely
I
best
wouldn't
of,
expect anything less.
yeah, but definitely best of luck for the season going forward. You know, Brighton are a really good blueprint, I think, for a lot of clubs and the way you guys do things. So hopefully it's something we can look to try and replicate under the new owners in some sense.
Yeah, you're still not getting Tony Bloom's back book though.
Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, that's all we have. So please leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the Toffee Blues channel for more happens content. Comment below giving your thoughts ahead of the game, and we will see you in the next video. Up the Toffees.